Good morning, guys. I thought I'd just put together a quick video on this woodshed that I'm after completing. So it's a beautiful sunny October morning, as you can see. This very much isn't my design. This is from another YouTuber, Midwest Workshop and Garden, and he put together this lovely design which I've basically copied and made in my own version. One thing to note, this is substantially, well, not substantially bigger, but it's quite a bit bigger than his design, maybe about 20-25% larger. And I very much went with a fair few different timbers because, well, as we all know, there's a worldwide or nationwide certainly shortage of timber at the moment, and trying to get the exact lengths and the exact sizes that you need is incredibly difficult. So whilst he went with 4x2s for all his uprights and the main components, I actually went with 3x2s because it's basically all my local lumberyard had. But as you'll see, it's incredibly strong still. Structurally, there probably is no need for 4x2s at all. And one major difference is the underpinnings here. So the main frame at the bottom, I believe he went with 6x2s, and I stuck again with just 3x2s because they're absolutely fine. So I basically sunk some breeze blocks into the ground. They're about 50% low in the ground, basically. Only about 50% protrudes through the top, just to keep it a little more flush with the ground. And as you can see, it looks really, really well. So the problem I always had for the last 2 years is I've been staring at this very unsightly outdoor oil boiler and a 1,000-litre oil tank, and I always had in my head that I had to come up with some kind of solution for blocking it all off, and building a woodshed and building this fence at the same time made perfect sense to me. So this is all pressure treated timber. In terms of how it's put together, I mean, forged nails, as you can see. This is the only nail that protrudes. I keep meaning to cut this away, but basically I use, I'd say, nails for 60-70% of it, and I use screws for the rest. And in terms of these lats, again, there's very poor availability in terms of what I could actually find, so I actually use these round top fence pieces as the actual lats. There was a small bit of waste. That's basically what I was left with at the end, which is incredibly good going, to be honest with you. So the other thing that I did was, as well, obviously I need to get access to the boiler for servicing and for actually filling the oil tank. So I mean, this only gets opened maybe every 3 or 4 months, so this track should eventually grow in, essentially. But I've put the whole thing on wheels, so the whole thing hinges out like that, and that gives you access to the boiler, so it can be serviced or it can be bled. I'm not sure what's going on over there. Dog fighting with a cat. And you can obviously get in to actually fill the oil tank as well, so that fills up nicely too. So that's the structure on the back of the fence. As you can see, more 3x2s on the back side, and that's the wheel. It's basically got a poly wheel on the bottom. There's quite a bit of weight to this, and it's hinged off the actual upright as well, but it's very strong, very sturdy. We've had some windy evenings actually as well, some windy nights, and there's been no problem at all with this flexing or anything like that. So I did add a single bit of bracing there on the back side, so it's pinned to the wall there, so it makes this a lot stronger than it would be otherwise. But yeah, it looks a whole lot neater. In terms of the base, as you can see, I use these decking pieces, and then you have the cut ends. I basically treated with some wood treatment, and that's going to have to be reapplied every 12 months, maybe every 24 months, something like that. In terms of the roof, I had these chipboard pieces. I had an 8x4. This is essentially almost exactly 8x4, so I had to do the tiniest amount of trimming just to get that to fit, and it worked absolutely fine. And then in terms of the roof, I'll see if I can get a shot here. Sorry for the croaky voice, I've got a bit of a cold at the moment. And then that's the roof, as you can see there. So it's standard shed felt roofing, basically. You get a roll of that for about €30. It's not particularly expensive. And it's pinned, actually I need to fix that up a little bit, and then capped on the ends with some pressure treated lats on the end as well. So yeah, very happy with how it came out. The only thing I have to do now is fill it with wood. So basically you're probably wondering why I need storage for wood, and I've got oil boilers as well. So the heating system is actually predominantly supplied by the actual oil boiler, but I have two stoves in the house as well, an 8 kilowatt and a 21 kilowatt, and they obviously need to be constantly fed with wood in the winter time. Now it's not a major issue, it's more of a comfort thing here in Ireland. Our climate doesn't get too cold. It's not as if we need to be constantly feeding wood stoves, but it's very nice to have, and it supplements the oil heating very well as well. So yeah, that's basically the design. I think it came out very well. It looks the part, and yeah, I've been crying out for some wood storage space for a long time, and it's great to have somewhere now where it's outdoors, it's breathable, and it's not going to just sit inside the shed with no air ventilation or anything like that. So yeah, great to finally have it finished. It looks a whole lot better, and let me know what you think of the design. So this is actually the current source of firewood I have for the shed. Basically, my parents had a whole pile of conifer trees on their property cut down, and instead of the guys lugging away all the logs, I said leave it all there and I'll look after it. So I picked up one of these. This is a logger's mate, and it makes this kind of job so much easier, just cutting the logs into stove sized pieces essentially. Without this, I was basically struggling to do this in any kind of a safe manner. I basically had them on the ground, they were rolling around, I was trying to secure them, stop them from moving, and after 2 minutes I realized there was no way I could do this without the likes of this tool. So logger's mate, fantastic. As you can see, it just holds the log in a perfectly secure horizontal way, and it can take giant logs. You can stick logs there 10 feet, 12 feet in there, and it's no problem at all, as long as it's well secured and you have it levered correctly, I suppose. It's nice and secure, and the log isn't going anywhere. So as you can see, you can get the logs out nice and easy, no problem at all. It takes big chunky logs, and you can adjust the size of that kind of opening, the jaw opening, for much larger logs if you need. So yeah, I highly recommend this kind of tool. Only €80, super cheap, and it makes super light work of the job. And this is the part of the job that we all hate, basically stacking up the firewood. I suppose some people find it therapeutic, but I had to lug this in from a main road out the back of the house, so not very, not a whole lot of fun, not very therapeutic. But I suppose once you get going with it, I think it took maybe about 45 minutes to get it all loaded in from the van, and there's plenty of space for more firewood too. Okay, so that's all the wood finally loaded in. That took quite a bit of time. I still have quite a bit of space here on the left and right sides, but I also have a whole lot more wood as well, and I easily have this amount of wood again, if not more. As you can see, I've arranged them by size, so we've got the smaller logs on the right hand side and the larger ones on the left hand side. So these smaller ones can go straight into my small stove on the ground floor. There's a small opening on that, so that'll eat them up no problem at all. And these can go into the larger stove upstairs, which is, as I say, considerably larger. And if they're still too big, which a lot of them are, to be honest, they can be chopped down to size 2 and also used in the smaller stove. Yeah, so very happy with how the actual shed turned out, and the fence too. And this should keep me going in the winter for quite a bit of time. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys.